Extra batteries in my survivor. And thank you for the Kindle. What do we have here? Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, are we 5:30? My watch says 5:30.
We are, yes, ma'am.
He was a very effective public.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready? Okay, I think Grant's not logged in.
Yeah, I've all of you.
All right, good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're glad to be here in Wells. It seems like it's been a long time, and we are excited to invite the choir to open our meeting for us with the national anthem. So please stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, thank you for that performance. That's a great way to start our meeting. Thank you for bringing your choir. And we know some of you are going to be doing double duty tonight here on the board and in other places. So thank you. We'll move on to item 1.3, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Chair votes aye, and the agenda is approved. Item 1.4 is the introduction of our student board member, Grant Kington. Mr. Anderson.
Just holding it like this. I didn't do it.
Hello. Yes, awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. Grant is sitting at the end of the table over there. That is Grant Kington. A lot of you know him, but so I have something to read about Grant. Grant is our student board member. This is something we started doing this year, which we're really happy to be doing, but just to make sure we have student perspective on board items, and some students talk less than others, but Grant, you are very invited to chime in at any point while we're talking about something. Just make sure you're part of the conversation if you feel the need to do so, okay? But anyway, Grant is a very well-rounded student who is very involved with our school, with Wells, his church, the community, and the state. Grant is a junior. Is that for real? You're a junior? Grant looks like he's 20.
Yeah.
Grant is a junior at Wells High School. I could have sworn he was a senior this year, but he's a junior at Wells High School. He carries a high 4.21 GPA due to AP and dual credit classes, which is awesome. Grant is also an active member of various sports, drama, honor choir, FFA, academic Olympic team, and represents his peers as a delegate to the Nevada Youth Legislature, which is amazing. He is a true leader, well-liked by his peers, and he gives to his school, his community. And then this is my favorite part about what they wrote about you. It says you're a wonderful person, and I couldn't agree more. So big warm welcome to Grant on our board today.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson and Grant. Welcome. Again, feel free to chime in. We'd love to hear your perspective on anything on the agenda. So thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 1.5, recognition of the VFW Patriot Pen and Voice of Democracy Essay Contest winners. All right, Mr. Anderson, you're going to announce those? And as,
Yeah, sure.
go ahead.
I'm gonna hand those down to me.
No, I'm going to hand them out. You
Oh,
can.
well, all right, well. I don't know exactly what it says, so I'll come over here. So is it working? Now it is. All right, so I'm gonna read, so first I'm gonna read what the certificates say. We can have them come pick up the certificates, and then maybe we'll have Spencer do his essay first, and then we'll have Isaac after, okay? So first, Spencer Gale, why don't you come on up? So Spencer was the second place winner for the state of Nevada in the 22-23 Voice of Democracy audio essay competition. So second place in the state. Way to go, Spencer. Great, and then Isaac, why don't you come up as well? So Isaac Gale is in junior high school, and he entered the 22-23 VFW Post 2350 Patriot Pen competition, and he was the first place winner in that one. So then we're gonna have, yeah, let's just do that in the same order. So Spencer, is there a microphone over there?
Yes.
Yeah, there is? Okay, I'll turn mine off and it seems to hate me, and I'll let you use yours. And please wow us with your amazing award-winning essay, okay?
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. He had not even graduated from high school when he received that letter, drafting him into the Army. World War II had been raging on for 5 years. Now it was his turn to go overseas and fight for America. He packed his bags, said goodbye to his single mother and kid sister, and left for San Francisco, where he would board a troop ship to the Philippines. He endured anxious concern for his family and nearly died when he was shot, the bullet barely missing his heart, which left him a lifelong scar. When my grandpa left home in 1944, he was a high school age boy. When he returned, he was a veteran. My grandfather was only one of the countless warriors that sacrificed greatly to serve our country. Many left home not knowing if they would ever come back to see their families. They worried about the welfare of their loved ones. They went through emotional, mental, and physical challenges. Veterans have boldly confronted situations that few other citizens would dare. An example of this would be my grandfather's brother. He was drafted in 1944, leaving behind a wife, young daughter, and unborn son, where he served in the South Pacific as an armored amphibian tractor crewman. After being drafted into the Marines, he was forced to sell his newly acquired trucking business before reporting for duty. At one point during his service, he was declared MIA after falling ill. He did not have the strength to attend roll call while on the ship. A letter was sent home to his wife, reporting him missing. Imagine that. You're a young mother, pregnant with your second child, and you have just been told that your husband, who is halfway around the world, is missing in action. Fortunately, he was able to recover and continue his service. While he was away, he would send money back to his wife. During this time, his wife would barely spend the money, at about a meager $80 a month. Because of this frugal spending, this allowed my great uncle to build a successful business when he was older. As a result of his service, He endured hearing loss and headaches for the rest of his life. Not every war story ends like this. Some soldiers come back with life-altering physical injuries. Other soldiers come back with psychological injuries, like PTSD. Some soldiers never do come home. The sacrifice that veterans make for us is unmatched. They bravely march into incomprehensible situations, leaving behind the things they know and love to stand and fight for our freedoms. And it is not like a veteran is some superhuman. They are ordinary people. They have desires, fears, goals, strengths, and weaknesses. But they have volunteered to risk their futures, possibly their lives, to ensure that our current and future generations will continue to reap the benefits of freedom. They have left behind their families, not knowing what the outcome will be, but they do it anyway. This brave action is why America, as we know it, still stands. We need someone to guard our precious freedoms against the tyrannical forces that would usurp them. That is where the veteran bravely stands. They are regular humans, but their commitment and sacrifice make them unique. Just like my grandpa and great uncle, veterans are willing, no matter the cost, to stand and protect our freedoms. That is why the veteran is important.
Is it fun to sleep in trenches? Is it fun to sleep in trenches? Is it fun to live for days on end in drizzling rain with no access to real shelter or clean laundry? Is it fun to bake in the scorching Arabian desert? Is it fun to live like this while being shot at? No, but our veterans did it anyway. Why? So that we could live in a country built by hard work and free ambition. What could we do for the valiant men and women that have devoted the best part of their youth to fight for our country and our people? I have had the chance to not only talk to, but live with one of these great American soldiers. Spending 2 years on the island of Luzon, Philippines, was not my grandfather's great ambition before graduating high school, but he answered the call. During his time in the Philippines, my grandfather was shot, but thankfully he survived. After a wonderful life, my grandfather passed away recently. A VFW honor guard was at his funeral. Members of the VFW honored my grandfather with a military funeral gun salute and laid an American flag on his casket. During this time, I was thinking of what amazing Americans, not only my grandfather, but all the veterans there were. This is a moment I will never forget. Men and women like these have enabled me to live free in a country where so many people have worked so very hard to provide that freedom. Our veterans did not go to war so that we could go to war. They fought to maintain our liberties. Louis D. Brandeis said, "Those who won our independence value liberty as an end and as a means. They believe liberty to be the secret of happiness and courage to be the secret of liberty." Whether it be serving in public office when I grow older, or just standing up when I feel my freedoms are being infringed upon, I pledge to keep the sacrifice that every veteran has made sacred and continually valid by whatever means necessary. I pledge to honor the endless amount of hours and hardships that our veterans have been through by informing my future children and their children of the unmatched devotion our veterans have put in so that their sacrifices are never forgotten.
There it is. Thank you, Spencer and Isaac, both of you. I have some pictures that I realized I saw that Teresa had them in her possession, and so I also have them in email, and so I just wanted to share those with everyone. So that's Isaac receiving his award there, and let's see, can you just go through? I need to click on them individually. And there's Spencer with that. Is there? It's definitely there on my screen. It's in sharing. just close that one. Give me one moment. I'm sorry. That's why. All right, so here's one of Spencer, and then I'm gonna show you the other Spencer too. Probably did this the least efficient way, so Mac, you can do my tutorial later. We're getting it all up there. All right, and then I'm guessing that's the state competition. I can't see Spencer from Six. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you to both of you for not only writing those wonderful essays that harken to your family roots and who you are, but also sharing those with us today, and of course representing Wells Junior High and High School so admirably. We really appreciate it. One more round of applause for the.
All right, and Spencer and Isaac, I knew your grandpa and your great uncle, and so it's such an honor to have you talk about them and share your essays, and congratulations again. All right, we'll move on to item 1.6, recognition of the Wells High School 22-23 wrestling state champion and Wells FFA.
Good things coming out of Wells. All right, first up, we're gonna have Tanner Hall come on down. So Tanner Hall is for the 144-pound weight class. Tanner is the 3A wrestling state champion, and it doesn't say it on here, but this is back-to-back 2 years in a row, right? Am I correct there? Awesome, very good. Congratulations. Oh, I don't know why it says 3. That's why, right? Or is it 2A wrestling?
2A.
Oh, wait, yeah, we can get you a replacement. We can send that out. Where's do we have?
All right, and then you've got the list for FFA.
There's another wrestling. Is there not?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, well, you can come on up anyway. We'll get you the certificate as well. We're a little disorganized with our certificates, but come on up. This is Jake Glasscock. Come on up, Jake. I don't know your weight class. I just know you could probably throw me to the ground.
132.
132. Yes, so Jake was runner-up in the 132 weight class this year, and I believe last year you were a state champ, correct? So pretty amazing as well. Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get the certificate sorted out. Okay, I have a lot to read. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Wells FFA program before. So it sounds familiar to anyone? So was the competition last weekend? Is that my understanding? All right. I still have a lot of Wells connections, and so my Facebook was lit with photos of Wells FFA kids doing awesome stuff. So I'm not gonna read every name from every team, from every competition, but what I will do is I will mention what the first place teams were and if there were any first place individuals. And the main reason for the first place team recognitions, and in some case first place individuals, are that qualifies those teams and individuals to go to the national competition. So and there's a lot of them. It's exciting. So first, I'm gonna save that one for last, actually. All right, so first up, the meat technology team placed first, and that included Taylor Glazer, who was first high individual, Cade Cromley, who was second high individual, Marley Dahl, fourth high individual, and then the team also included Mason Norda, Tegan Coleman, and Isaac Gale. The farm business management team was first place.
CJ, why don't we have them stand if they're.
Oh, yeah, my bad. If you are in the room and I read your name, Isaac, for example, anyone else, because I haven't taken inventory of the whole room, but if I say your name and you're in the room, please stand, and thank you. So, yeah, right. Normally we might have a lot of certificates and things like that planned out and ready to go, but as this just occurred a couple of days ago, and And it just worked out. They're like, hey, we're gonna be in Wells, and even though we don't have all the papers ready yet, we definitely want to recognize while we're there. So next up, the Farm Business Management was the first place team. Jackson Dahl was first high individual, Jory Wright second, Madison Wattell third, and also included Taylor Glazer and Madison Dahl, Spencer Gale, Ian Livingston, and Grant Kington. Oh. Parliamentary procedure, first place team. And that team included Morgan Norda, who was the high chairperson, Jory Wright, Madison Wattell, Carolina Johnson, Truman Kington, Spencer Gale, and Hannah Prescott. Conduct of chapter meeting, they were also the first place team. That team included Isaac Gale, Carson Ballard, Mason Norda, Aaron Hansen, Marlon Dahl, Colter Runyon, and Liliana Borgerding. Was I pretty close on that? All right, awesome. And that is the team for the chapter meeting. Green Hand was first place team from Wells. First high individual, Cameron Livingstone. Grace Otto, second high individual. Carson Ballard, third high individual. Also on the team and competing was Charlie Fender, Gage Julie T. Colton, Kate Cromley, and Kendall Matzler. Got more people, we got a lot here. Poultry judging, first place team, Gage Ulig, first high individual, Cameron Livingstone, second high individual, Carson Ballard, third high individual, Christina Salazar, fourth high individual. Imagine that, you have the four highest individuals and you won first place as a team. Team also included Liz Rivera Casas. Congratulations. Employability skills. This is a team of one. Morgan Norda, first high individual. Milk quality and products, first place team. Christopher Burcham, fourth high individual. Jackson Dahl, fifth high individual. Truman Kington and Spencer Gale. Congratulations. We're almost halfway. Soil and land judging, first place team, Spencer Gale, first high individual, Carson Ballard, second high individual, Tegan Colton, fourth high individual, Gage Ulake, fifth high individual, Grant Kington, Cameron Livingston. Congratulations. Range management, first place team, first high individual, Ian Livingstone, third high individual, Truman Kington, also including Jake Glasscock and Hannah Prescott. Novice Floriculture, first place team, Evelyn Walls, second high individual, Madison Dahl, fifth high individual, Christina Salazar, Callie Bradshaw, Liz Rivera Casas. All right, and then the rest, let's see. So extemporaneous speaking, Carolina Johnson was the second high individual. Agriculture and service was the second place team. Agriculture, technology, and mechanics was the third place team. Environmental and natural resources was the third place team. Creed speaking, just Carly Olin, third high individual. And then the horse evaluation team placed sixth. Couple other pretty cool things. Carolina Johnson received the state FFA degree. Two pretty cool kids who aren't kids anymore, they're adults, but FFA does some retro recognition of graduated seniors. McKinley Myers and Zion McKay both were from 2022. They had American FFA degrees that were recognized. So congratulations, both of those young ladies. And then kind of a big deal, Morgan Norda, go ahead and stand up again. You heard her name a few times. It should not come as a surprise that Morgan Norda was elected to be the 2023-2024 state president for Nevada. That's all I have.
That's it.
Oh, congratulations, as well as FFA, and some of you, I'm not sure when you slept, because I know what it's like to compete for Mr. Norda. There's a lot of time put into your competitions, and you can tell. Thank you for always representing Wells so well, and in turn, Elko County School District. You guys are amazing, so thank you. We'll move on to item 1.7, recognition of our Wells Stars recipient.
Okay. Heidi Ballard, hello. Yeah, clap for Heidi. It's not an official policy in board docs, but we have like a loose policy of embarrassing our stars recipients in front of everybody. So I got to bring this award to Heidi. That was about 3 months ago, wasn't it? It was back in December. But for context, the Stars Award is a once a month award that we give in the school district. We have roughly 1,100 employees. About 650 of them are what we call certified staff, and about 450 are classified staff. And so we get to give one award to each of those categories every month. And so you can do the math. The odds are low. Unless you're awesome, then the odds get better. And anyone who knows Heidi knows that she fits the awesome category. So Heidi was nominated by 2 different people for this award, and I'm going to read exactly what those people wrote about Heidi. So the first person that, chronologically she was first, was the first one on this paper. The first person to nominate Heidi was Carrie Ruff, who was a parent. You guys know that. There has never been a teacher like Heidi to walk the halls at Wells Elementary. As you walk into her room, you know that your student is going to be loved and well taught. Each morning, she starts her student's day off with the attitude of gratitude moment. Each student takes their turn letting the class know what they are thankful for. It can be as simple as seeing a friend that morning to something exciting going on in their families. And we know first graders love to share. They do love to share. The students love this, and how great to get in a mindset of looking for the good things in your life. Other teachers and staff have commented to me of how they love walking past her class when she's playing the piano for her children, teaching them a song like Home Means Nevada. She keeps parents updated with her Ballard bulletin, filling them in on what's being taught in class that week, lunch menus, sight words to practice, and more. She always has an open heart for her children in and out of the classroom. She truly cares about their well-being. I don't know a parent that has not begged to have their children in her class because, well, she is the best there is. So that's what Carrie said about you. And then the other person did not want to let their identity be known, but that person said, Heidi has a very challenging class, and she is the most kind and patient teacher to all of her students all of the time. She always has a smile on her face when greeting students, parents, or staff. It doesn't matter who it is. Heidi goes above and beyond every day. Thank you, Heidi, for being such an amazing teacher, such an advocate for children, and providing a safe and comfortable space. I have a lot of things I could say about your classroom, having spent some time in there myself. And one anecdote I'll share is when we were kind of shut down for a little bit, Heidi wanted to stay in touch with her kids in the classroom and knew that they'd be potentially out and about. And she, I don't know if any of you have ever seen the flat Stanley that has been done before, but it's like a little paper cutout of something, and you kind of show that thing when you go somewhere. And she did a Miss Ballard cutout that you can take with you when you went places. And so like my family went, I don't have any kids in her class, but when we went I wanted to be part of what she was doing because it was so fun. I took Miss Ballard to Capitol Reef National Park, and when I took my family places, we had Miss Ballard there with us. And she doesn't know this, but she also made some friendship bracelets for her students one of those years. And I have that friendship bracelet at home still, and on occasion wear it. So You're such an awesome teacher and an inspiration to everyone. So anyway, I could go on and on about Heidi, but thank you for being such an amazing teacher and congratulations on being one of our stars.
The next one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I turned it off. It's probably gonna take a second.
Popping.
My bad. Just leave it on.
All right, congratulations again, Heidi. I'll just talk until the mic comes on. All right, we'll move on to item 1.8, input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personnel issues except in a legally noticed closed personnel session of the board. Comments are limited to 3 consecutive minutes. A speaker's time may not be reserved, divided, apportioned, or deferred. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been included specifically on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. This is a non-action item. We do have a request for public comment from Nancy Livingstone.
Not yet.
No?
Yep, it is.
Okay. I'm Nancy Livingstone and I'm from Ruby Valley. I feel like what I'm going to talk about is kind of a downer after all this celebration, but I came to talk and ask the board to consider raising reimbursements for private transportation contracts. Last fall, I imagine it's on your mind because last fall you raised the reimbursement for travel, but not for boarding. 35 years ago, when my older siblings started to go to high school, this boarding money made it possible for our parents to afford to send us to a school because there's none within 55 miles of where we live. And the reimbursement was $10 a day then, which amounted to about $200 a month. And when my kids got to high school, I never thought I'd end up in Ruby Valley, but I found that the reimbursement is still $10 a day. And I just wanted to, I read somewhere that the price of a Big Mac is a good indicator of what the dollar is worth. So I looked up what a Big Mac was worth. In 1986, it cost $1.60. And today I don't go to McDonald's very much, but I imagine it's pretty close to $5 now. And we can spend $300 a week on groceries now. I am in contact with lots of other parents who board kids, and many of them are spending more than that allotted amount, especially with the 4-day school week. It's reduced from $200 to $160 a month, which isn't much if you have teenage boys. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment? Please come up.
Are we on? Okay. I wasn't planning on coming up, but I just heard so many great things. I had to share something else. My name is Shannon Glasscock. I am the director for the Wells Youth Wrestling Club. And I wanted to share some things because we just got back from state a couple weekends ago. And I wanted to tell you what our youth are doing. We heard a lot about the high school. They're doing. So we came back, took 7 kids down there, and we came back with Attica Montoya. She's a girl, took 4th place at state. Joanna Glasscock took 3rd. She's 7 years old. Tegan Remington took 2nd, not only in folk style, but also in freestyle. She took, I believe it was 4th in Greco. By the way, women's wrestling is the #1 growing sport in the nation now. Johnny Glasscock, he is here. He's kind of stumped down. Stand up, Johnny. He had a really tough bracket. He took 3rd. And these are kids from 2A on up to 5A. So it's the entire state. These are pretty big accomplishments. And then Jackson Glasscock, my 9-year-old, came home with the state champion. So anyways, just had to share what the littles are doing.
That's worth it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 2.1. Appointment of the audit firm to conduct the 22-23 school district audit. This is for possible action.
Alright, so I see that Julie is at least watching and listening. Julie, are you also speaking?
I'm online for any questions.
Oh,
She is.
definitely is on. I see Julie Davis's name on the screen. Unless...
I'm online.
Hey, there she is. So I just wanted to check there, Julie. Thanks for being there. I'm not sure when it comes to audit questions, Julie's probably going to have some pretty good answers for you. But we every year have to do statutorily, we do audits of our finances, and so we recently went through the process of evaluating some bids for audit. And so the document that you have there is our memo of a recommendation for that, and feel free to ask any questions. There's a few of us here who were part of that process, so yeah, if you have any questions, please let us know.
All right, questions from the board?
Julie, briefly, if you could please. Yes, ma'am, thank you. Julie, just to confirm, because this is a services contract with more than just low bid, a low bid is not required on this, correct?
That is correct. So with audit services, it's a professional service. This isn't a good where it's the same thing no matter what vendor you order it from. There are many factors other than lower bid. So we are actually not required to go to bid. We did an RFP anyway, a request for proposals. We had 2 responses, so we had 2 proposals to look at. But you're correct, it's not required, and low bid is not required.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Just wanted to get that on the record.
All right, any other questions from the board? All right, how would you like to proceed?
Madam Chair, move to, yes, ma'am, thank you. Madam Chair, move to approve Eide Bailey LLP for the FY audit services for 3 years, yearly appointments of FY 24 and 25 with 2 separate 1-year optional renewals for FY 26 and 27.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. Item 2.2 is receipt, review, and possible acceptance of the strategic plan. This is for possible action.
All right, if you'll recall, I guess it wasn't our last meeting, it was the weather delayed one that we had on Monday the 6th. I presented the strategic plan as was completed by the committee. And I'm not gonna, if you want me to bring it up on the screen, I can, but so we haven't made any changes to that plan. At that meeting on March 6th, the motion was made to gather input from the community before doing any finalizing of anything. And so I wanted to share some of that with you. We get the majority of what we received in realm of feedback was basically those first 2 or 3 days of the survey being out there. There wasn't a whole lot that came in after that. But I'm going to share. So you can see, and we'll, it's not attached right now to this agenda item, but we stopped taking results for this at about 4 o'clock. And so we just wanted to make sure to give everyone an opportunity. So let's see, I can probably zoom in on that a little bit. So you can even one more notch. So what I'm not going to do is go over every single comment, but I will provide all of the comments for you. It just would be, I don't think, a great use of time to do that right here. Plus, some of the comments did have like personally identifiable stuff, and I wouldn't want to do that to anyone. So what you'll see though is that there were 3 basic questions asked for those who participated in this. The first is, what is your affiliation? Because we want to get an idea of who was answering the questions. So you can see a pretty good balance of students and parents, and then some staff and some people that filled multiple categories. So we got just under 600 responses there. The question was asked, how satisfied are you with the strategic plan framework chosen to meet the educational needs of our students and communities? Between satisfied and very satisfied was just over 50%. You throw in the 32-ish% of neither agree nor disagree. That's 80 something. Depends how you want to look at those. But those are the answers we got there. And then the last question, so it was 3 questions, and then there was an open-ended response. The third question was, what is one priority that you would like to see the district focus on for the next 3 years? And they were limited to 1. The one that had the most overwhelming response was to make sure our students are prepared for the future. And then a pretty decent balance between teaching, learning excellence, and student staff wellness. And then the last one chosen was family and community engagement, which I would not say is not a priority, but just it wasn't the highest for the majority of people who took this survey. So like I said, there's another like 15 pages of comments if I were to keep scrolling down. And what you'll see when I send that to you is we've categorized them by students, by parents, and by staff, and then kind of trying to group things thematically for you. But to not read all of them and just give you a good idea about the types of themes that were there. There was a little bit of, in my opinion, some misunderstanding about a couple things. Number one, what a strategic plan actually is. Some people, there were some comments that said, it's very vague, and strategic plans kind of are vague. Strategic plan is meant to pick what your focuses are going to be and what things matter most to you, and where you're going to put your money, your time, your resources, your efforts. What are you going to guide all your decisions around? And so, there aren't going to be specific things in a strategic plan like we're going to, I don't know, use this software for this need. Like that's not in a strategic plan. That would be like that'd be even like a sub action of one of the actions that's in there. So that was, there were plenty of comments about that. There were also some people that answered it without looking at the strategic plan, because they put comments like, I haven't seen the plan yet. At the very top of the survey, there was a link for the plan. A lot of the things that people said were important to them did show up quite a bit in the plan. The mental health and wellness of our students and staff was very prevalent. And so even if someone said, like we had ones that were like very dissatisfied is what they would say. And then the thing they chose to say was our students' mental wellness needs to be a priority. And in my mind, that's one of our 4 pillars that we came up with. So if, I don't know where very dissatisfied comes in as far as the plan goes, but for me, that means we're aligned and as to what is important to you. If that's important to you and we've chosen that as one of our main focuses, then I feel like we're heading in the right direction there. More than some people use it as a sounding board for their distaste for the 4-day decision that was made recently. Maybe loosely connected to, someone might argue, well, that doesn't really fit with, preparing our students for the future because they're going to be out of school more often than before. And so, the opinion based, I guess, there, and that decision's been made and we're moving forward. Still, that being the case, the comments are still there for you to read them and for you to internalize them. But the feedback, like I said, was rather sparse. So some more topics that showed up. As the survey results indicated, preparedness for the future. I actually really appreciated the student comments. Students kind of sounded off on the things that they don't feel like they're ready to do. Like, I don't know how to apply for a job, or I am not sure what to do with a bank account. And so they talked about things that would help them, because prepared for the future that's a pretty broad statement, right? Like your future is different from your future and what you're going to have to do. And so they let us know what things were important to them for their future. And I think it meant a lot to them that was the first and foremost thing. I mentioned the mental health being a topic. Something else that was very prevalent with our students was Kayla categorized this as school / teacher-student relationships. And students talked about how they felt like their relationships with teachers were, and how some said, I really love that I can talk to my teacher like this, and other ones, I don't feel like I'm seen, I don't feel like I'm heard, I need more help than I'm getting. Like they said those things to us in the survey, and those are impactful. And in some cases, they were very specific, where they didn't say their name, but maybe where they go. And so these are things that we can share with our administrators and say, hey, these are voices that we've heard recently, and see what we can do to react to those. And so I'm just scrolling through real quick, looking at other topics. Curriculum was another topic, and that fits squarely in with our 2 pillars of preparing students for the future and for teaching and learning excellence. Sorry, I'm just checking the last categories as I scroll through here. Yeah, that's it. All right. So for the most part, other than the comments that were unhappy with the 4-day week decision, and the rest of them most of them cycled right around the concepts that were within our strategic plan. And again, just reiterating that a lot of those decisions, those are day-to-day decisions made by the directors, by the site administrators in schools, how we're going to realize those things, make those pillars a reality, and kind of put our money where our mouth is with what is important to us, and show that it's important rather than just say it. But those things do not go into a strategic plan for the whole district. That's a different kind of process and concept. But anyway, just wanted to share those results with you. I know, just knowing some of you, I know you really love to read all those comments, all 15 pages of them. I know you do. Brooke, Susan, I'm looking at you too. Matt, I know you want to read them all. So you'll have a chance to do that. But just wanted to give you the general idea of the results, and then if you need me to bring the plan back up to look at something, I can put that back on share, and we can look at that some more. But I think that's all I have to say for now.
All right, this item is for possible action. Are there questions or comments from the board?
Of course. Mr. Anderson, if this is approved this evening, what is the ongoing process look like as reporting back to the board?
So the next steps, I mean, again, it just kind of recalling to your memory what we talked about last time. Some of these things, let's say you don't approve the plan tonight. Like, some of this stuff we're doing anyway because it's the right thing to do, and it's good stuff that we need to do. So we're currently working on many of these things, like improving our outreach to the community and our communication with people. adopting new curriculum this year. We're very close to being done with the math curriculum adoption, creating refresh schedules, that sort of thing. So so whether you do or don't approve, there are good things that are going to keep happening anyway. But if you approve, then what we do is the plan itself, if you'll recall, had underneath each pillar, there were like a series of 3 or 4-ish, like they were called actions. And the actions were very, not too specific, but endeavors that we would go into in order to accomplish our aspirational statements for those pillars. So what we would start to do then is to say, well, this action, for example, around kids being kindergarten ready and making sure families have early childhood resources, we would start assigning things that go along with each of that. So, Candace would have some very critical role in that as the elementary director. Kayla, our community outreach with Cassie Stalkey, like we would begin to, give people assignments for things to work on, so we can start actually doing those things. And it would also start to be reflected in messaging, and as Kayla finishes our website redesign and the development of that app that's going to be available for all teachers and parents, start to work all those elements in so that it's a consistent message, and our focus and our priorities are right out front in everything we do. So it would help inform the rebranding stuff that we're working on right now. So yeah, we really just start assigning out things for people to do that we're not already working on, because some of those are already in the works. Does that answer? Or is there something more specific you're asking about?
How often will you report back to the board as to?
Well,
basically
as frequently as you would like, I guess. But as you know, we have wonderful directors who report back on a quarterly basis, and it would be my expectation that if there is a project directly attached to our strategic plan, that when, for example, it's Candace's turn to, sorry, I keep picking on Candace, when it's her turn to give her quarterly update, it would be an expectation that we would hear about how that kindergarten, early childhood readiness endeavor is going. And so, we'll fill you in on those things as we're working on them.
Perfect. Can I see the next slide?
Yeah, sure can.
Can you tell me what the response was, these percentages, how many people that's based on?
589.
Okay. Fine print.
Can't see that.
Yeah. On the
I
side.
have to say too, I think the plan, the strategic plan, when the board sets.
It's on.
Should be on.
Okay, when the board sets, when we set goals, I think having the public input on this survey will also help us, because when we come up with average, I'm just guessing, I'm not speaking for all of you, but like, I'll just say 3 goals. And then we kind of break those apart. I think those are going to tie in with this strategic plan, and then we'll get updates and all that. And then I think it'll be a nice blend of putting everything together so that we've got a plan so that we can help students succeed.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Happy to go. Dr. Byers. I was gonna say I'm happy to move.
This mic
forward.
thing is fun.
Click.
See?
I'm just gonna make a motion to approve the strategic plan.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the strategic plan is accepted. All right, we'll move on to item 2.3, receipt, review, and possible approval of the 23-24 and 24-25 school calendars. This is for possible action.
Thanks. So just, this is the first time, other than Teresa, any of us have been through a calendar approval. Sometimes it's 1 year at a time, but lately it's been a couple of years at a time. And so the way that works is Cody, at least this time around, Cody Krenka, exceptional director of human resources, coordinated with our union, our teachers union rep, or leadership, I should say. And was it 5 options, Cody, that they gave to their membership? So the teachers union, very quickly after after the 4-day decision was made, they'd actually already made some calendars and then kind of revised things a little bit. But they presented 5 different versions of both a 4-day and a 5-day calendar to their membership, and then they voted on it. And the ones that you have for both years, and the ones that you have in front of you are the ones that were selected by the teachers union. There were some pretty crazy options, but they made sure to, give some variety. In my opinion, it all looks pretty similar to what we've been doing. There's not a whole lot there, but those are the calendars for the next 2 years if you approve them today. And someone asked why a 5-day if we think there's a decent chance we're all going to be 4-day. As long as we have Matterport Youth Challenge Academy as part of our district, they will continue to be a 5-day. And so we have to present calendars for all options. At this moment, a 1 is also still 5-day. But I think they might be interested in requesting something as well. So we'll see them in a month at the next meeting, and I'm guessing there will be a conversation there about that. But in any case, there's a 4 and a 5-day because we have to have both.
And so these calendars are still have to be approved by the state, so a 4-day week could technically.
So the question was, could the state reject our 4-day week? And no, I mean, you never know what someone might do, but no, not really. That's a local decision. The only reason they would reject a calendar is if our calendar isn't meeting the minimum threshold of minutes, which we do, we exceed that. So as long as we meet the minimum criteria, and that's what has been decided upon by the Board of Trustees of our district, then it's not going to be rejected.
For some reason, I was under the impression that the state had to approve a 4-day week, so.
Well, they have to approve all calendars.
So basically, it's a calendar thing, not 4-day week. It's basically, they approve a calendar.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you saw with the revision we did semi-recently, the thing we're gonna send them isn't just these calendars. We send them document after document of everybody's start and end times. They're just everything about every school in the district, and they tally up all the minutes, and Josh Farmer does an amazing job just detailing that out and putting everything in a spreadsheet so they can see that we're meeting everything. So I don't anticipate we'll have a problem with either of these getting approved.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the 2023 to 2024 and the 2024 to 2025 school calendars as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
If I may, Madam President, if Hawaii does choose to go to a 4-day week, does that impact any of this? Do we have to bring that back before the board? Are we good on that? Okay, we're good.
All right, any other discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor of approval of the calendars, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and those are approved. Item 2.4 is receipt, review, and possible approval of critical need designation for elementary teacher licensed positions for FY 23-24. All right, Mr. Krinka.
I'm here for start off with any questions on this item, and then I have a comment.
Questions from the board?
Sure. So we make them critical needs, and I know we've done this before, but please refresh me. What does that allow us to do?
Well, the critical needs designation allows us to hire retirees back without penalizing their retirement system. Right now, if a PERS employee or PERS recipient, someone that's retired, makes, I think, $25,000 or $27,000 a year, that's the cap. Otherwise, it's going to impact their retirement. If we make them critical needs, we can hire them back and it doesn't impact their retirement.
So like, I'm trying to think how to phrase this, so does that then make this more, do we put more monetary behind it, or they still get paid at the other rates we have? They get more money, basically.
They would, as an individual, they'll make more money, just like our current critical needs that we have for special ed. It's the same. So they would come back with the same salary as they would if they were still here. If there are, assuming that they were stayed here for 30 years, they would come back in at that experience and that qualifications, and they would be that as well as receiving PERS. Now, the next question you're probably going to ask about, and what I was going to make a comment on, are buyouts. Even though it's not a policy, there will be practice that we do not hire on buyout people that were recently bought out in the last year. People that were recently bought out in the last 2 years. This position, it would not be good of any of us, and definitely not good fiscal sound policy for me to come up here last month and say we're going to save money by processing these buyouts for that person to come back in August and September, October, and we hire them back at one step higher than they were 6 months ago. So it's not policy, but unless directed by superintendent, it will be my practice as the HR director. Does that make sense? Okay.
So to beat a dead horse, either we have classes without teachers, or we bring qualified instructors back into our classes, understanding that we're paying a little bit. Well, actually, we're paying the same amount as if they hadn't retired, and they're also drawing a salary.
It's the same as if they had not retired. And you're right, we get qualified individuals that are welcome back. It's still up to the principals to whether or not they determine if they want to hire these individuals. But we'll welcome back people that have 30 years of experience, that are licensed, and definitely needed.
Madam President,
those individuals that were recently bought out, they still qualify for critical needs substitutes, because that obviously comes in at a much lower amount, and to me is sound fiscal policy, which is what was presented to the board when we were discussing buyouts.
Madam President, I'd like to move to approve critical need designation for elementary teacher licensed positions for fiscal year 23-24.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. Item 2.5 is receipt, review, and possible acceptance of the bid for the Jackpot Combined School Fire Alarm Upgrade Project. Jackpot Nevada submitted by Fire Engineering Company, Inc., and conditional award of contract to that bidder. All right, questions from the board, or Stephen? You got a presentation or just there for questions?
I don't really have a presentation. It's just a fire alarm, not just a critical piece of equipment that the schools use for emergencies. And this one's an older system, and the next one is an older system, and we can't get parts for them anymore. And yeah, the bids came in and they were well below budget. So,
all right, any questions from the board?
Madam President, move that the board accept the best bid for the Jackpot Combined School Fire Alarm Upgrade Project submitted by Fire Engineering Company, Inc., and conditionally award the contract to that bidder, subject to the timely submission to the district legal counsel of all documents required by the instructions to bidders, including signed contract, proof of required insurance, issued performance bond, issued payment bond, and complete project apprenticeship report.
Thank you. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just have a quick question. Just one quick question. So the fire system that's currently a Jackpot is from 62?
Yes.
Okay.
There
I just want to make sure.
There are no parts available. We've got a boneyard.
I had someone question this and I'm like, I'll ask, I'll straight up ask. Like, why would
Past employees have
Yeah.
saved parts for, and it's running dry now.
Not to embarrass my mother, but she's a little more than 60 and there's no replacement parts for her either. So at least not original.
All right.
Aye.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we will proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and that motion carries. Item 2.6 is a similar item, receipt, review, and possible acceptance of the bid for the West Wendover High School Fire Alarm Upgrade Project. Any questions on that one?
Madam Chair, move that the board accept the best bid for the West Wendover High School Fire Alarm Upgrade Project submitted by Fire Engineering Company, Inc., and conditionally award the contract to that bidder, subject to the timely submission to the District Legal Counsel of all documents required by the instructions to bidders, including the signed contract, proof of required insurance, issued performance bond, issued payment bond, and completed project apprenticeship report.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion?
Just same question, like 95, this was from 95?
No, 95.
New. Brand new.
Just
Brand new.
so you know, it's good for about 10 years and then it's recommended to update the systems. We have several others that have been along.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions before we vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. And Stephen, thank you for continuing to do everything you can with the facilities we have. Item 2.7 is receipt, review, and possible approval of proposed changes to policy IHA, academic achievement, our grading system.
Thank you. So last meeting on the 14th, this was brought for first review. This particular policy you asked questions about, but there were no requested or suggested edits, so it's exactly as was. I can answer any more questions. / Ray Smith is also here, and he can answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? How would the board like to proceed?
We got it. Move to approve. New policy IHA.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. Item 2.8 is receipt, review, and possible approval of proposed changes to policy EDCB, student transportation management, safety bus conduct.
Same on this one. It was presented last meeting for first review. There was one proposed edit, and that is evident in 3D, where we more clearly detailed that the administrator would use their discretion on determining the seriousness of offenses after completing an investigation, rather than just going with whatever was marked down as the most serious offense. So that exact wording, as was suggested, is there, and nothing else has changed since then. So questions if you have them.
All right, any questions or discussion from the board? All right, how would the board like to proceed?
That's on. Do it.
Madam President, I move to approve the changes to policy EDCB, student transportation management, safety and bus conduct.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Susan had the second. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the motion carries. Item 3.1 is our consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the consent agenda is approved. Item 4.1 is a report from our NASB director.
Just a quick update. We had both the Senate and Assembly suspended the rules requiring legislator bill introductions on March 20th. The new deadline for that is the 27th. That was yesterday. I don't have an update if anything new has come on there since I've sent out that update to you, but there's quite a few things we're watching. And as soon as I get next week's update, I'll be able to update you more next meeting on what really we're watching for, and if there's any committee meetings maybe that we want to take part in. Also, y'all should have gotten that email today about the training session coming up on the 29th, I want to say. They're in Fallon, so looking forward to that, and hope to see some of you there too if you can make it for that training session. We will be covering
Data security.
it's a security digital threat assessment, and it's open to school board members, superintendents, school safety specialists, school threat assessment teams, and school resource officers. So if anybody's needing information that, get with myself or with Cassie. We can help you out with that, but looking forward to that, and I'll have again more to report on the legislature at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Any questions for our NASB director? All right, we'll move on to item 4.2, items from board members.
I will start. Had the opportunity this past weekend, to travel with one of our athletic teams. It seemed that anybody that played on a diamond or plays on a diamond was on the western side of the state this past weekend. And I had the opportunity to interact with athletes from 4 of our schools out in the general public. All of them behaved exceptionally well. I'm very proud of how they represented Elko County, and I'm happy to report that almost all of our teams won all of their games. So congrats to them, and again, thanks for standing up and representing Elko County well.
All right, thank you, Matt. Any other items from board members? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 5.1, our superintendent's report.
Thank you. So mostly just good stuff to inform you about. In the last couple of weeks, I was able to get out and visit some schools for some different awesome events. We went to Spring Creek High School for their National Honor Society induction ceremony. That was pretty great. Principal McDermott out at Spring Creek Middle School invited me to a student forum. Took Paul there as a bodyguard because middle school kids can be rowdy. So Paul went with me. It was, man, like it was seriously awesome. Those kids were just sitting down at like round tables talking about how they're going to solve their school's problems. And no finger pointing either, just like, hey, I think this needs to be better, and giving solutions is what we need to do. Like just watching them take ownership of how to make their school better it was pretty great to see. And so really appreciated their voices. Seemed like a good mix of kids too. Yeah, it was just it was awesome. I'm really grateful that we were able to carve out some time to be there. And then on the teacher end of teachers sitting around a table trying to solve problems too, we went out to Paul and Susan and I went out to West Wendover High School, and they were participating in something called a Critical Friends group. And it basically what it was teachers of similar content areas or disciplines sitting around, and someone presents a lesson, and they went through talking about like, is this lesson meeting the needs of our kids, and giving each other feedback on what they could do with that lesson, on how it could be more engaging, more rigorous, pointing out great things they could take back to their classroom, and just watching them collaborate with each other. It was rapid fire too. They did this in like a half hour or something, but just they were so focused on it, building each other up, and that's something they've been doing for about a year plus, it sounds like. And it's just really great to see them. So we got students trying to solve problems, and we got teachers trying to solve problems, and all just putting a lot of time and effort and energy into that. And so really appreciative of that. So that was a pretty fun visit. I want to thank excellent Human Resources Director Cody Craig, as well as our outstanding board president, Teresa Destro, for going to, and I'll never remember the whole name of it, but it's like the Joint Ways and Means Committee of the Senate and the Assembly or something like that. It turned into like a borderline interrogation, it sounds like at points, but all 15 of the rural districts were represented there in some way or another, and a group of legislative representatives were basically asking what our schools plan on doing to get better with the money that the governor has proposed to infuse into our schools, which at last check was about $2 billion to all the schools in Nevada, which would represent a pretty good increase for us. We'd get our portion of that. And so Cody went out there and did most of the talking, right? Cody did? Okay, all right, just want to make sure I don't, I gotta give you your credit for being there. But Cody did a good job of presenting to them that, hey, here are the things that are important to us. As evidenced by kind of the ideas of the strategic plan committee, even though that wasn't finalized yet. But here are some things that really matter to us, and then we have identified as needs and areas of importance. Kind of given a good reality of how far that money can go. Someone hears $2 billion, and that sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. When that trickles down to us, it probably looks like something a little closer to $15 to $17 million. And when legislators are talking about, hey, all educators need to have X% of a raise, which you do, I agree with that. They're under the impression that this money is going to take care of that and then some, and then all the things that the kids need for their classes. And the reality is the money doesn't stretch that far. And so really just trying to help them understand what we can do with that money and imagine what we could do if we were adequately funded, because that $2 billion still doesn't make it to adequate. We're still not even on par with the national average of money after they infuse $2 billion into our education system. So imagine what we could do if we were adequate, and then like La La Land, what if we were even above average in funding? What would we be able to do? And so really just trying to paint that picture. Sometimes there's just a disconnect. You come from different industries, your school experience was different. 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever year, however many years ago you were last a student in a high school, things change, and our kids are different. They learn differently. There's just a lot different now. And so really just helping them have an understanding and a reality of what's going on in our schools. So really appreciate the great job that y'all did in representing our district there. Today, got to stop by real quick at Elko High School. They were doing the Northeast Nevada Music Zone / ECSD Instrumental Ensemble Adjudication Festival. And we, our Wells kids that just sang here a second ago, they were down there for that. Kids from all over the, mostly Elko County kids, but also I guess Battle Mountain was there. And so we get some. Well, we've had a few of those types of events there at the Performing Arts Building lately, and just awesome to see our kids strutting their stuff and impressing and doing such a great job. Also, just so you're aware, this week we've got parent-teacher conferences going on. I saw the worn out looks on some of the Wells teachers here today as they walked in, and they all had that look of it's parent-teacher conference day. Which is awesome to me with parents. It's not that they don't want to do it. It's just, it's meeting after meeting after meeting with no break in between. And you're just trying to see as many parents as possible. And if I could just quickly give a shout out to Wells. They do so awesome with parent teacher conferences. I've talked to some of their schools. They're like, man, we just have a hard time getting parents out here. Or someone will be like, we got up to 85% of parents here this time. And man, 100%, 97%, the parents in Wells are here, and the teachers make sure they get here, even if they have to go knock on their door and say, hey, your time tomorrow is 1:15. We'll see you there for the parent-teacher conference, and they make sure to get the parents here. So that they were doing that today, and they'll do it tomorrow. And we got spring break coming up. That's exciting. Want to shout out this Fine Arts Night. I know Lyle came around and gave you all that flyer, but that should be pretty fun. Here, 5:30, May 31st. It's Friday, right? Friday, May 31st. then
It's Tuesday.
May 31st.
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, sorry.
Wednesday,
Oh, I
yeah,
was thinking
Wednesday.
March 31st.
Yeah.
I'm way off. That's really far down the line.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
I replied, I couldn't go because I thought it was this Friday. All right, I guess I'm going. Save that, yeah. May. Who knows what's happening in May? Are you kidding me? All right, so next up.
Yeah, sunshine.
Oh, really exciting announcement. I got two more things. I'll be done soon. Two more things. Sarah Negrete, who I think you all know, she's the director of NNRPDP. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the past or not, but she's announced her retirement, and she's moving on from that position. We're gonna do our best to try to get her to be an intervention teacher or do something to stay with us. We need her to stay around and keep working with our schools. But she is retiring, and it was semi-recently decided that Annie Hicks, who is currently at NNRPDP, she applied for and was awarded that position. So Annie Hicks going into next year will be our new director, and Annie Hicks has been like instrumental in basically everything we've done with our much significantly strengthened partnership with NNRPDP this last year and a half, 2 years. She's been right there with every step, whether it's our admin academy, the coaching principals, working on school performance plans with our schools. So Annie is in it and knows everything. She was at the thing at Spring Creek Middle School that Paul and I went to. Like, she is there for everything. So we're in good hands with Annie. So if you happen to see her, congratulate her on that appointment. And then the last one I wanted to share, I got this email today, a professionally written email from a student. At first I thought it was from a teacher, actually, because I was reading it, I was like, well, this teacher loves her kids. I'm like, oh man, this is a kid. This student named Danielle Kelly, she wrote to inform me that the Elko County FCCLA state and chapter officers were, they had an opportunity to go to what was called a CTSO, which stands for Career Tech Student Organization. They got to go to a CTSO officer legislative visit. So Joseph Hartford, Vice President of Competitive Events, Lexa Valdez, Vice President of Records, Suzette Lara, Spring Creek Chapter President, and then Danielle McKelly, Vice President of Community Service, were all in attendance at the Nevada State Legislature. While in attendance, they advocated for the change of disabling language in Senate Bill 9, which has to do with funding that student organizations, CTE student organizations receive, so that they could receive more funds. They spent time talking to legislators in an informal meet and greet session and experienced a session from the assembly floor. They were able to see how bills were introduced and passed on the assembly floor. And they thanked someone from NDE named Miss Christina Carey for organizing the event. They got to get some advocacy training for the attendees. And they also got to sit with Assemblyman Bert Gurr and Assemblywoman Alexis Hansen to learn alongside them. And also wanted to give a shout out to Miss Sarah Anthony, who is FCS teacher at Carlin High School, and Mrs. Genevieve Demick, who is the FCS teacher at Spring Creek High School, for supporting their attendance to and from the event. And I just thought, like, I was doing the juxtaposition in my mind. We had our board president and our excellent director of human resources at a legislative event, talking with assemblymen and assemblywomen and senators, and then, you know, right along with them, we have our students doing the same thing. Like, they're getting real world practice with how things work in government. And so here's a picture of those kiddos. I was told that from left to right is Suzette Lara, and then Josie McHugh, who's from Reno, Ashton Osbar, who's from Las Vegas, and then after that is Joseph Hartford, Lexa Valdez, and then the one all the way on the right is Danielle McKelly, the young lady who wrote me this email. So just pretty amazing, I think, that our kids are out there getting those experiences. Anyone who tells you otherwise is, yeah, misinformed. That's what we're gonna say, they're misinformed. We got kids doing great things, as evidenced by all the amazing individuals we recognize today, by these awesome kids going and talking to, advocating from legislators to change a bill. Like, that's what those kids did on their weekend. I'm just blown away by them. So congratulations to those kids for being involved. Whatever happens with that bill, because the bill doesn't always bounce your way, so to speak. But whatever happens with it, I think they learned an awful lot, and it was hopefully a meaningful experience. So I'm glad our district's able to support that effort, and thanks to our teachers and other staff who make those things possible, for parents for supporting those kids in those efforts. And with that, I will cede the mic.
All right, thank you. Any questions or guidance for our superintendent? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6.1, approval of the accounts payable.
Go ahead and move, we approve the accounts payable for March 28th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Abstentions or disclosures? Go ahead and pass the mic.
To disclose that I have a family member that owns a business, so I'm abstaining.
All right, thank you.
And NRS 281A.420 requires me to disclose that I have a close relative who is employed by Wellsboro Electric. I won't be abstaining from voting because a reasonable person in my situation would not be materially affected by this conflict of interest.
All right, and I just get to say ditto to Brooke. So I'm disclosing the same, but I will also not be abstaining. Any other questions on the accounts payable for March 28th? All right, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and we have one abstention, and the motion carries. We have two more accounts payable to discuss.
I would go ahead and maybe we wrap these both up together. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion. We approve the accounts payable for board member reimbursements number 1 and number 2.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, abstentions, or disclosures?
I'll be abstaining because I am board members. Do I need to repeat that?
All right, go ahead and repeat it, Brooke.
This on, yeah. Okay, so I will disclose that member reimbursement number 1 is for me, so I will be abstaining.
And I will disclose that member reimbursement 2 is for me, so I will also abstain. All right, any other questions or discussion before we vote? All in favor of approving those two accounts payable, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We have 2 abstentions. The motion carries. Item 7.1 is a final opportunity for input from the public. Is there anyone else who wishes to share anything with the board? All right. Thank you for being with us this evening. It's great to be back here in Wells, and we congratulate your students and the parents, everybody in Wells. You guys do amazing things. So thank you for hosting us. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Have a wonderful night.